Hello, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of our Team Coaching Communities of Practice session. Today, we will be looking at managing conflicts in your team as a team leader or manager. On behalf of Agile People Ops, I, Nathaniel, your host, would like to welcome you all to today's session. This series of calls are aimed to provide a platform for team managers, leaders, and coaches to come together to share their experience and learn from one another. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, these sessions usually take place every fourth Wednesday of the month. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our esteemed coaches for today's session. Next slide, please, Amani.
Sure.
Yes. First, we have Hamani Joseph. She's a leadership coach, facilitative trainer, and keynote speaker with over 24 years of experience. She's dedicated to using applied neuroscience and emotional intelligence to help create thriving organizational culture and individual success stories. She's a professional certified coach through the International Coach Federation, which represents the gold standard for professional coaching worldwide. She's certified in applied neuroscience coaching, and she uses powerful methodology in clients' coaching development journey to discover their noble goals. Next, we have Naveen KS. He's the co-founder of Agile People Ops, who contributed in creating the Agile People Ops framework. He's also an organizer of the HR conference, People Ops Pulse, and author of the Scrum Master Journal. He works as a consultant and coach in the US, helping organizations transform and adopt business agility. He also helps leaders and teams through his coaching and reflection skills to help them become better versions of themselves and make progress one day at a time. He loves coaching, and he went on to learn everything about coaching way back in 2014, enrolling in one of the best coaching schools in the US and holds ICF coaching certifications. For last, board member in one of the ICF's chapters and volunteers for hundreds of pro bono of themselves and grow in life. A warm welcome to our team coaches and to everyone in the audience. Feel free to clap your hands as we welcome Amani and Naveen to take the stage. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that warm welcome. And from the warm welcome, we're going to a place, to a different world. And we're talking about conflicts today. So an honest submission here. How many of you have had the taste of conflicts at your workplace? With anybody, with your team members, with your team leaders, with your bosses, indirect bosses? Just a yes or no as applicable would suffice. And a quick one. Any conflicts anywhere in the workplace? Yes, no. Yes, I see one. Yes, we have an honest no. Okay. All right. It's no, it's no. Yes. Okay. All right. And for me, here's a both hands yes. Loads of conflicts when I was working full-time in organizations. And as a freelancer, well, I do have my share. I can call it differences of opinion here. And as adults, I think we'd like to put it like that. But yeah, definitely, they do appear. So thanks for the response here. And so today we're going to deal with this in a slightly different way. I don't know why my screen is not moving. That is why I like delegation so much, where a lot of the job is being handled mostly, which it is. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we're talking about managing conflicts in your team as a team leader manager. But just a caveat here, this applies to everybody because this is about what we're going to study is a wonderful model by somebody who I really look up to and whose work I've extensively studied. And so it's of course, we're talking in terms of team, we're talking about in terms of organizations, but you can also use this tool with your friends, with your loved ones, with anybody. If you understand the model and if you take it back with you, you are surely to be able to benefit in every area of life. So what we're basically saying is here that, okay, how are you, we've taken conflicts to be a given, even by your responses. Most of you said, yes, conflicts happen. Conflicts are anything which can be a disagreement, a difference of opinion. If escalated, it can go to a place where there is a problem and, productivity suffers. A lot of things happen. We do know the downside of conflicts. So we are not getting into that today, that what are conflicts, how do they occur. We are straight away getting into places where we are using a particular tool to understand that if conflicts happen, and even before they happen, how can we actually have a healthy workplace? And even if they do happen, what can we do to be able to mitigate the damage that has happened and be able to resolve it? And this model is called as just I have yeah. So this model is called SCARF, like not the one that we use out here, on our necks, which look very pretty, but this is also a very pretty model. It's actually a very good-looking model because what it says is, and it's based on neuroscience, um, and what, according to neuroscience, according to the way our brain works, you know, if you're walking somewhere and if you see something hanging from the tree, which or nearby, which looks like it's like a rope-like thing, an instant thing comes in our mind that this could be a snake. It's like our brain is primed means it is hardwired for detecting threat. It is from the time that we were hunters and from the time that the civilization, humankind came, because we were hunters and gatherers. Every day one had to go out and hunt, and there were all kinds of these wild animals and everything. So the brain developed in that fashion that you have to look out for danger. It's rooted, and therefore, when it developed further, it became this thing that every time, everything in what you do in life, try and minimize your danger. And obviously, you're doing it for something, so you should maximize your reward. You should get something out of it, but definitely stay out of trouble. Definitely do not cause yourself harm. So even when we're crossing a road, we look left, we look right, but suddenly if a car comes, we run for our life. I don't think you have much of that in the US, so maybe that's not a very appropriate example here. In India, we don't have such very, very, very strong traffic rules. So we cross the road with our luck, or with our fancies, that okay, let's look left, let's look right, and then see what traffic is not coming, and then go. So perhaps in the chat you can think of an example where you use your mechanisms to save yourself from danger, which are not really danger, but sometimes as you're taking a walk and something comes, like a leaf rustles, and you feel that, oh my god, some animal is coming or something like that. So these are just small examples that the brain always looks out for danger which may or may not be there. So this principle is very important, because to understand this, because this principle impacts an individual and later on a team member and then a team capacity to perform effectively. Because if I'm constantly looking out for danger, if my brain is primed that way, danger is not always physical danger. Danger is also danger, psychological danger. Danger is also emotional danger. Danger is also when I feel threatened, when I feel hurt, when I feel that somebody is mocking me, somebody is making fun of me, all that is danger, right? Because the brain perceives every kind of danger as synonymous. So if I consider that to be danger, then this principle significantly impacts an individual's capacity to perform effectively, with engagement being synonymous with the maximum reward state, which really means that if I am engaged with you right now, I'm not feeling threatened. I will be able to be in my maximum productivity because I'm not feeling threatened, I'm not feeling judged or whatever right now. So I can be in my maximum flow state or my reward state. So that's the background of the model. We'll get it further into it. Now, the SCARF basically is an acronym for status, S, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, fairness. Simple enough. We will get into what it really means, but this is the way SCARF is, as an acronym. Now, what does this really mean? The S for status. Status means that how do I want to look in front of people? What is my perception? What do I want to? How do I want to appear in front of people? My perception. How do I want others to see me? That's what a status. The people who are driven by status. Now, these are, in very simple words, what drives me as an individual. When you are looking at your team member, you need to understand that what drives John. Is it status? Is it something else? And we'll come to that. The people who are driven by status, and they're as their drivers, or there's something that really, comes to them strongly. This is not behavior. This is something that makes you feel important. Yeah. So if status is your driver, then if somebody is giving you a lot of attention or a lot of respect and a lot of decision making power, then you will feel very happy. You'll say, oh, he is taking care of my status, she's taking care of my status. So, and similarly, other way around, if the status drops, then naturally that person will not feel happy. You say, oh, this person is not respecting me, I don't feel respected, I don't feel a part of things, so I'm not I don't feel good out here. Next, let's come to certainty. With the word itself, what do we mean by certainty? Certainty is I'm somebody who's a big fan of certainty. I want to know what is happening in the future. Ambiguity makes me feel very, very nervous. That I want to know that 4 days from now is my webinar happening. Okay, this time it's happening, I'll be here. If somebody tells me, I don't know, I'll tell you in the last minute, maybe half an hour before I'll tell you, I'll have a bit of a challenge. So in your team, if you know of somebody who is always telling you to ask you for deadlines, telling you this needs to be completed by this much time, somebody is a stickler for time, somebody who needs to know when is my appraisal happening, when is this project due, what are the timelines. So that person is somebody who's probably having certainty as their driver. Again, the opposite of that is also true, that if you're not giving them that ambiguity, if you're giving them ambiguity, then their threat circuit is activated, and then they go into non-productive mode. So the danger that happens with working with drivers or people is that when you're working with their drivers, you get a positive result. But when you're not aware of their drivers, then you can get a very, very opposite neuro response. And that sometimes can become tricky. Third is autonomy. What does autonomy mean? Autonomy means that I have choices. And you'll hear the young generation talking about that a lot. And I think the group out here is also pretty much on the young, the millennials and the Gen Zs here. So autonomy is very, very important. And I must say that it's a very important driver also. Well, where you feel that, okay, I must have my own choices. You give this work to me, don't tell me how to do it. Tell me that I need to do it by this time, fair enough. But don't tell me that, don't divide it into micro bits and tell me. That's why coaching works so well, because in coaching, we don't tell people what to do. We just tell them that, okay, this is the task. How do you think you want to do it? and thereby the choices come. Again, lack of autonomy means that they get very stressed, they get very frustrated, very agitated. So that's a problem. The fourth one is relatedness. Relatedness for me as a driver would mean that if I am in a group of people where I'm well liked, not like status, not like respected or looked up to, but liked, where I have a connection, where I have a bonding with everybody, then I will feel very good. It makes those people immediately feel very relaxed. They feel that I'm working with. You'll often hear those people saying, "Oh, you're my family. You're like my family. You're my buddy. You're my. I really like." And they'll pat you on the back and say, "Hey, buddy, how's it going?" So it's not difficult to recognize drivers, and it's a very fun exercise. If you start paying attention, you can really make out that what is the driver. And often people have more than one driver, but one would be their dominant driver. You'll often find that. And the last is fairness, which is again a very, very unique one in today's generation, I would say, because the more I've studied this model, I have found that today's generation wants to be treated fairly. They don't say that make my status higher or give me certainty, but they say give me autonomy and give me fairness. Be fair to me. Don't give me tasks that you can't do yourself. If I can get up and do this in 10 o'clock at night, then you can also do it. So it's like a very fair equation. So the feeling of fairness, fair exchanges, justice, and it activates the brain's reward circuitry. Any doubts out here or anything that you're not being able to follow or any observations, comments, please keep them going. I am not really looking at the chat here, but yeah, okay, now it's here. So, but if anything comes up and you feel that you want to say something, just unmute your microphone or just put it on the chat, or even if something is unclear. Yeah.
So
Okay.
this question actually definitely we should be telling our audience, Himani,
Yeah.
that SCARF model was developed by David Rock.
Sure.
He's the founder of neuroscience coaching. The coaching is not new. Coaching has been here for like past 50, 60 years. But bringing the neuroscience concept started from David Rock, and this model was developed by him, basically. Just wanted to add.
Absolutely. A very good point. Thanks you. Dr. David Rock, yes, as he said, is almost the father of neuroscience coaching, and he has done some wonderful work in this field, which relates to coaching especially, because you can just immediately understand what is really happening in the brain and why people behave the way they do, why certain questions just get answered because of that. Yeah. So we move on. Where are we going? Why are we going here? Okay. Now let's look at, we've understood what the SCARF model is. Now let's just look at it briefly as to, we were talking about conflict earlier. Some of you said that you faced conflict at work or conflict does happen at work. Now let's look at, okay, what is SCARF? You would have got an idea by this time by my description of the drivers. But let's go a little deeper into figuring out that when conflict happens, or it can happen, or we sense that in a team, we are different people, and if people are different, drivers are different, that means conflict can happen. You want different things out of the same job. So let's look at how it can work here. Now let's first look at status and conflict. Okay. So what would be the impact that status would have on conflict? Again, like I explained, that when a person's status is threatened, because remember the brain feels threatened, it goes into the away state. It feels that, okay, I'm being threatened, harmed, hurt. If the status of these people is harmed, meaning that, okay, maybe something, I give you as a team leader, I give you very critical feedback, and my ego is hurt. Yeah, your ego is hurt. You feel that, oh, how could this person give me such critical feedback? You may have meant it well as a team leader, yeah, and you wanted to do well for the team leader by giving them critical feedback so that they can improve. So your motives are good, but you gave it to a person whose driver is status. So what did the person need here? Perhaps a different coaching approach or a different approach to be given that feedback. Not that the feedback doesn't have to be given, because we can't operate like that in organizations. But here we could probably encourage the individual to say, okay, how do you feel about your performance? What went well? What could have gone better? How do we operate from now on? What do you want to do differently? What is one thing that you feel that went okay but could have gone slightly better? Questions like these are typical coaching questions, go very, very well with people who are driven by status, especially when we're talking about telling them things which they don't like to hear. And often a lot of us don't like feedback. That's why appraisals are not the easiest thing to handle. But they don't go wrong because of people don't like hearing that. But I think the way they are done sometimes causes all the damage, because people are very driven by different things. So if you are talking to a status driven person and you tell them directly on the face that this, not good, it would be quite a sad situation to handle. Because what the person will be doing well, also they will not do the well from then on. They will say, this person doesn't respect me, I don't feel respected here, I don't feel valued here, I will not work properly from today. Nothing is valued out here. So you see, it goes into a boomerang effect. Similarly, let's look at,
I just want to add from a
sure.
team point of view, the status kicks in, especially in the team meetings. We might have
Yeah.
seen, experienced that in a group of team members, in a team environment, you might have seen only one or two people are talking a little bit more as compared to others. We were not going to talk about what is the prominent dominance, why the person is speaking, but only one or two people speaking has a larger impact on other team members. They would either wait to listen or they would not speak at all, because we know the team is composed of different kind of a people. Some could be introverts, some could be extroverts, few could be ambiverts. So not every would person will stand up and speak. We are humans, we are not robots, right? Like everybody will stand up and start talking. So we are driven by emotions. So status has a larger impact on the team members who are either introverts or ambiverts, who want to wait and watch. So from a team coaching point of view, if you are a team coach in that specific scenarios, you need to be a great facilitator in inviting those kind of a people who are not speaking up. So you need to give them an opportunity by saying, hey, anyone else has anything to contribute? Like how Hemani was trying to beautifully ask, is anybody has any questions or thoughts, share me, right? So most of you are like on a mute mode here, right? So that kind of an initiative you can do in a team meetings. And when you observe continuously, some people, even after giving an opportunity, are not speaking, then you can change your gears in team coaching by inviting through calling out by the names, saying that, hey, John, I've been observing, you've been nodding the head. Do you have anything to contribute? Do you have anything else to add here? So you could use a subtle coaching and facilitation technique in ensuring everybody speaks up when two or three people are speaking, because as a team coach, you need to ensure to provide a equal status opportunity to everybody on the team. That's when there is a team cohesion, the team functions basically. So back to you, Himani. I just wanted to add from a team.
Yeah, wonderful inputs. Thank you. And thank you for sharing your drivers, Lucas and Jessica. Jacqueline, we are discussing a model here called SCARF. So we're not really choosing anything. Everybody's sharing what they feel their drivers are. By drivers, we mean something that you can relate to, how your behavior is. And we're talking about conflicts in the workplace, that what people get affected by at workplace. And as I'll go on, I think you'll be able to catch up into understanding that. And if there are any doubts that come up, do feel free to, we'll come to the revision at the end, and then maybe I could just check up with you if things are going well. Thanks. You go for fairness. All right. Fair enough. All right. And please, others also keep sharing. And it's very important for us to do recognize our drivers. And if you have not done so now, go back to work and do pay attention to what really drives you. Lucas, want to share something? Go ahead, please.
Hi.
Hi.
I'd like to add about this impact on conflict about status. When, for example, there's someone who failed at a task or something that went wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes pointing fingers isn't the best option because it raises stress levels or someone tries to hide something. So promoting promoting learning from errors is actually a good environment for this development. So no one loses status. It's more of a systemic point of view instead of finding the culprit, focusing on the problem. So I believe that also can work for impacts of conflict.
Absolutely. Very wonderful point. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, absolutely. It is, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so let's go on to certainty and conflict like we did for status. Again, a person who wants certainty, who say that, okay, give me your timelines. When is this project going to get over? I need dates, I need times. And naturally, they would look for clear expectations. If I tell this person last moment that, you also had to do that part of the project, that was also your piece of the pie. It was like, why? I mean, you can't tell me on the nth hour. And obviously, it will drive the person all stressed and, so providing clear expectations, setting the the bar absolutely clear and the baseline expectations, and your part of the work, their part of the work. And also expectations are not only just about always work, they are also sometimes about psychological expectations. Like, I may just assume that I expect this out of you, that you will cover for me in this place. A person who's driven by certainty may not recognize your psychological assumptions. You need to tell them that, look, this is what I expect out of you here. If I'm not there, then you need to cover for me. And then that person will be only too happy to say, okay, I'll do it. And these are the kind of things that happen in teams. When we are working together, the dynamics are not because people are good or bad. Everybody wants to do good things only. Our interests are always that we want to do well. We don't go around wanting to trouble people. We are not, we don't have sadistic tendencies. But there is a real dynamism in working together. And when we study all this, we realize that, yes, that this is where it comes from. This is one model. There are hundreds of more models when we study, and we say that, okay, now it's becoming clearer. Why does all this happen in workplaces, especially in teams? Because teams work so closely together because of the common goal, the aims, which we'll do in our team coaching courses when we go deeper into teams and teach you team coaching. But it becomes very interesting to notice that, okay, this is where it comes from, and then there are solutions also. The good part is that it always need not remain this way, and that is what I find most encouraging about studying, especially neuroscience and other this thing, that you can improve a situation if you want to. Just pay a little more attention to where you're coming from, and most of it, as Naveen was also saying, comes from your emotions and your way that you operate as a human. Rarely will you find problems which are coming from technology or processes. Yes, processes sometimes take time to understand and they become complicated, and sometimes we don't know how to handle it. But with training, those become streamlined over a period of time. But it's human emotions and the way we deal with each other, that is one of the major elephants in the room, which we sometimes find difficult to deal with. All right. So this yeah.
And I also want to add this certainty is also very key when in the team members have a different kind of experienced team members, right? Like we will not have all the team members with 5 years experience or 10 years experience. You will have a team composition of members who may have 5 years, 10 years, 7 years, 9 years, and all that. So what I'm bringing that point is the experience of a team member. He also drives the emotion of that person to deal with the certainty and uncertainty. A less experienced and a less mature team member, especially on the project and the team also, would have a different emotions as compared to people who have less experience in the industry. And it goes other way also. A less experienced team member on a longer project would have a much higher maturity as compared to an experienced person who recently joined into the project, just like 3 months. So he may still, it's not only experience, it's the maturity and everything. And that drives the emotions of a team member. And the emotions of this impacts their basically the way they work, right? So as a team coach, you need to ensure what you are communicating or what the team members are communicating have a greater clarity. So everybody is balanced and emotion is taken care into the consideration, and everyone has absolutely clarity and everyone is on a single page what he or she are intent to say, basically. Just wanted to add, Himani. I'm just, you don't, but I'm keep adding some examples here.
That's wonderful. That is because that is the practical side of it, and that's wonderful. And I think that's where contracting plays such a good, wonderful role. When you are contracting in the beginning for whatever is the agenda, or and in teams, the team leader's role is that to always keep contracting, to always keep providing that certainty to people. And because it is one of the major, it is a very important driver, or actually all the drivers are so important. It just depends on your team members. Some will be driven by some would be driven by others. So as a team leader, you have quite a few hats to wear. You keep noticing that, okay, where is the ball rolling for this person, which direction. And with a little bit of awareness, it does come, because you're dealing with these people day in and day out. So it's not that one fine day you will discover they're doing the same behaviors every day. So you'll notice that this is happening with this person. Every time I talk about this point, then that person, he goes on a stress, this thing. So why? There must be something to it, right? So let's move on to autonomy and conflict. We were talking about the Gen Z and the millennials here, that they do need a lot of autonomy. I mean, I happen to have a 20-year-old, and so I deal with that almost on a daily basis, especially when he was here. And Naveen also has a young young sons. So it is, and all of you are mostly on this call, as I guesstimate here, is that you're on the younger spectrum of stuff. So you would be probably relating to the fact that you do like your decisions to be taken. You want to have control. That's the key word here, right? And it's not a negative thing. So I'm not making it the villains out here. Nobody is. It's about a higher sense of control than probably what we used to have when we were working on the other side. When we joined our job workforces, we knew there would be a boss, and the boss would tell us to do something and we would do it inevitably, mostly without any lot of argument or lot of debate. It would happen. Mostly the generation here today in the workforce, because it comprises of at least 70% odd of the millennials and the Gen Zs, want to know why they're doing something. So it's not that they're unreasonable. They just want to have control over their decisions, which come from knowing that, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? Why is it important? That's why organizations now are going back to their purpose, which you'll also learn in your course when we do team coaching, that why are purpose-driven organizations so successful today? Why do people make vision boards? Why do people are going back to that place that, okay, why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? Because people are asking those questions. No longer are people happy with the fact, but we're doing it, so we're doing it. It doesn't work like that anymore. So anyway, people who want autonomy, or team members who want autonomy, they want to have a level of say in the decision making. And also, more than anything else, that some level of a control, that do I want to do this? What pace do I want to do it? And then they're fine. You tell me to do something, I'll do it. But don't hover around my head and tell me it has to be done today. You will give me the report tomorrow. Day after we'll do this, and then the next day we'll do this. They will like get up and say, okay, fine, why don't you do it yourself only, or something like that. A very simple example, my son, I was to tell him that to clean the room, so he would nod his head. I would get very optimistic that, okay, he's talking today. So I would say, okay, why don't you do it by the end of the day? Like, okay, 4 hours from now, it'll be done. And then that expression used to come on his face that, look, just because I agreed to you and say that like it will be done doesn't mean that now you can negotiate with me and keep saying that, now push me into saying when will it be done till whatever. So I worked out a different relationship with him, like, wherein I could get some degree of relaxation and he could get his autonomy, right? So the next is relatedness. Relatedness is pretty much a more softer one, but again, a very important one for people who value relatedness, uh, um, especially nowadays when we're talking a lot about psychological safety in the workplace. The bonds that we have with people, that when we are working with a team, it's a very close-knit environment, and you're working sometimes under very high stresses, timelines, and it's very important for me to feel safe. I'm not talking about physical safety out here. I'm talking about psychological safety, that I can trust you, that there could be a backup for me. There could be a place where my if I am feeling overwhelmed, then there is a buddy that is going to take care of things. Or also that if I'm simply sitting with you, then my just because I'm feeling vulnerable at this time does not mean that it will become like a joking story in the entire team. So these people feel very bad if they are being made fun of in a way which harms their personality. So the team dynamic then changes from friend to foe. And of course, if they feel bonded, if they feel connected, then very quickly it becomes that, okay, this person is my buddy, is my kind of person, and let me do anything that I want, anything that I can. So the drivers are based that way. And finally, we come to fairness, which is also, some people in the chat had shared that their driver is fairness. So you may relate to this, that that you talk about fair treatment and exchanges, that okay, in a team meeting, are you giving enough chance for everybody to speak up? Are you making sure that you're listening well to everybody and not just to one or two people who might have better ideas because you feel they have better ideas? So are you giving fair treatment, fair exchanges in the to everybody in the team? When something is to be done, do you always pick out some preferred people? Things like that account for fairness when you're working in a team environment. Any doubts about this or any questions? Autonomy is relatable, Jacqueline? All right, I would love to know why it's so relatable. I always find it very interesting. We can relate to them. Thank you, Lucas, for that thumbs up here. All right, so let's move on. Stuck again. Don't be stuck on me, please. Wait, let me find another way.
Looks like your laptop is not fair with you.
I know. So, okay, so here's another small example. So we did talk about examples there, but this was just something that I thought of right today because I was working with a client. So these, of course, have changed their names. So in a team environment only, and we're doing a team project, that these two people, Alice and Bob, they are in a conflict. Alice feels that Bob is taking credit for their joint work, and this makes Alice feel very undervalued. So I want to know from one of you, like, as a team leader or somebody who's working in a team, now you understand that people who want status, what would they look for? So as a team leader, what would you say or do that would make Alice feel, in this case, and even Bob, to make him understand that what is being violated out here? I mean, status is, we know that, because the credit that should be going to both of them is going only to Bob. So Alice's status is being threatened. So I would like you to think about this, that, okay, what is it that as a team leader would you want to say to Alice and to Bob to be able to take care of it. So this would be a food for thought for you, and you can think of many other examples now that you have the scarf model, and you have some of the explanation that I gave, you would be able to think that, okay, what is it that would be a good place to do. So just in a very, what I had written here was that firstly, you acknowledge Alice's contributions. You as a team leader, you will say, yes, you did it. You also were a very big part on it. I recognize your efforts. And in future, you would make sure that you would have role clarity. Because if she's the person who looks at the status and so is Bob, then you wouldn't want them fighting over like cat and mouse over who did what. So have role clarity. And, and like in a team meeting, announce that, okay, this is the manager highlights that, okay, Alice's role was crucial in this, Bob's role was crucial in this. So you're making sure that each person's status is taken care of, right? So this was just a strategy or a tool that you could use when you're looking at one of these drivers. Okay, it's really giving my status let's see, not being related. Something is not right out here.
So while you get the slide, I just typed a question to everyone here. How and when we will define the role clarity for team members? We don't need to really open up the forum. They can post the answers. And then I will answer it towards the end. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Next slide, Himani.
Yeah, next is there, and the next is also coming, hopefully. Why is this happening? Which other we can be? Okay, let's try this. Yeah. Okay. This is going backwards. Yeah. Sorry about this. Okay. This is something that we've already covered. So, but very quickly out here that we are saying that how do we leverage SCARF for, team when you're working in teams. So the people for status, we highlight their strengths, we highlight their contributions so that their status is elevated. For people with certainty, we clearly communicate expectations. We tell them this is what we expect. We give them timelines, we provide them a roadmap, and so that they are certain about their future. For autonomy, we empower the team members so that they can make their own decisions. They have control over their work so that they are enhancing autonomy. For people with relatedness, we have fostering trust, comradeship, human connections in the workplace so that sense of safety is heightened. And for fairness, we more or less have transparent and fair transactions so that the brain feels that, yes, we feel that we are being treated equally, right? So these are key things given you certain bullet points, but these are the ones to remember, because once you know these, and always remember a workplace is comprised of all kinds of people, different generations, different work experiences, different motivations in life. Drivers are basically what motivates you. When you come to work, what is motivating you to perform to your best? As a team leader, you would want your people to perform the best and not, of course, get into conflict. When conflict does happen, also use one of these drivers, use the person's driver to be able to elicit a positive response so that the brain goes back into productive mode instead of a stress mode. And then when a brain is in a productive mode, then you can get out best results. A brain in a stress mode will not be able to perform. And that we have to take care of, because if that happens, then you're going into a negative spiral. And then that's how conflict escalates. So catch it as its nip and cut it there. you won't go very far. I mean, you won't have to do all the conflict theories that we've studied and, do all that disruption and all that, because you will understand people's motivations and you'll build a very, very, a team where you're working with people's strengths. This is actually working with people's strengths. So strength-based coaching is what we do. We call this also. So that is something that I wanted to share about as far as this is concerned. And there is some, there is what? And this is now the time for questions, if there are any. Otherwise, of course, we have some announcements which are there. But would like to would request you to keep this conversation going in the of course the chat here, whatever time we have left. But feel free to use the LinkedIn, the team community coaching communities of practice LinkedIn page to keep your discussions going, because we do post about the webinar, but after that we need to keep the conversation going, because then we can all learn from each other and we can share examples that, okay, once we went back and we used this, what really happened, and also your questions. If something is not, because we don't have a lot of time out here, you can definitely come back and check and ask and clarify. And of course, share your experiences. So that's it from my side. And we can.
I just want to take 30 seconds. Thank you for everybody who has given the answer. The team norms is a section where you maintain basically all of this information. And the team norms is something you frequently update. If the project duration is more than 3 to 6 months, I would encourage to have every quarterly session dedicated only to reviewing the team norms and updating like how we function as a team, what kind of a SCARF model attributes you need to implement and observe. And the team coach also needs to collect that and bring it to the team norm session, bringing some specific examples and explaining why certain points in the team norms requires attention and updation, basically. And this has to be very frequent, because as a team coach, your job is not only coaching the team in the moment, but during these frequent key meetings as well, basically. And regarding the example what Himani gave, it's just one she gave, right? For each of the attributes of the SCARF model, we can have multiple examples and multiple scenarios to have our conversation here. But in the interest of time, we just brought only one scenario. If you have any more scenarios, or if you have any questions after this call, there is a LinkedIn page called as Leader as a Team Coach. I'm going to post it here. Feel free to post your question there. Myself and Himani will be observing that page and will definitely answer to you all. And from my side, thank you everyone for joining and listening in and giving me opportunity to contribute. Thank you. Over to you, Himani and Nathaniel.
Yeah. Over from me also, Nathaniel, over to you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Himani. Next slide.
Next slide. Next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So amazing session, Himani and Naveen. Thank you for sharing your wonderful insights on managing conflicts. And to our outstanding audience, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate your time and participation. We hope that you found today's session informative and engaging. You'll receive a feedback form in the chat box. We request that you provide your feedback by clicking the link. So what's next? As mentioned earlier, these sessions are usually held every 4th Wednesday of the month. Hence, our next team coaching communities of practice session comes up on June 26th. So feel free to mark that on your calendar. Join team coaches Himani and Naveen as they unpacked the concept of team emotional intelligence and how we can use the coaching approach in fostering emotionally intelligent teams and the role team leaders play in all this. To register for this event, kindly scan the QR code or register using the link in the chat box. Alternatively, you can join our APO Global Community LinkedIn group and get further updates on our upcoming events. Kindly scan the QR code below or join using the link shared in the chat box. Additionally, for being such an amazing audience, I would like to invite you to join our community platform to collaborate with other passionate individuals. You can join using the link shared in the chat box. We will share the recording of this session with all the participants who have registered and also upload on our Agile People Ops YouTube channel. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day. With lots of gratitude, I'm Nathaniel, your host, logging off for today. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a wonderful day.